opinion lined up for you. In fact, we have Nimesh Shah, who is in an exclusive conversation with Nilesh Shah of Envision Capital from the Sohn Conference. So let's cut across there. Nimesh.
Thanks, Ekta, for that. So, it's a big conference. A whole host of galaxy of market participants are there at the conference now. And joining me now is Nilesh Shah of Envision Capital. Nilesh, thank you very much for joining us. First time such a conference where money managers are coming and giving ideas about sectors and stocks. What's been your first take of listening to the first five managers so far?
Well, in the first place, congratulations to Sohn for hosting this in India for the first time. I think this is an incredible opportunity. I think the best of speakers, the best of thinkers, the best of investors are here. So I think it's a fantastic gathering. I think it's amazing how insightful all the opportunities that are. We've seen different speakers and investors talk about opportunities which are emerging in aviation, in the alcohol space, hospitality, healthcare, mortgages, home finance, and then the global opportunities in internet, consumer. So I think it's truly fascinating. And I think truly some of the thoughts have been eye-openers.
In fact, we're going to have another set of investors, which includes names like Rakesh Jhunjhunwala is going to be there, Akash Patel is going to speak. What are you expecting from the other big investors who are going to speak at the conference?
Well, these are luminaries. These are people who've been very successful in their track record. They've been investors for the last 10, 20, 30 years. And I hope that what they speak, I think, is going to be even more insightful, not just in terms of the individual sectors or the individual stocks, but the whole thought process and what works and what doesn't work. I think that's very, very important for an investor to understand.
The feedback that I got was that a lot of the speakers spoke about the big consumption theme or the consumption boom, which is likely to happen, whether it's in aviation, whether it's in healthcare. You've been an early investor into technology. I know you've been a big fan of technology in the early years as well, and you're still bullish. Anything that stands out from here, which you think will be a good consumer play to play for investors from here on?
I think conventionally in India, we've always been thinking about the traditional consumer pack, and we've been talking about FMCG, consumer staples, and all of that. But I think when you look at some of these emerging sectors, healthcare, health insurance, mortgages, aviation, I think they're in a way a demographic play. They're also in a way a consumer play. So I think it's not just about those consumer staples and FMCG, but there's life in consumer even beyond these very conventional and traditional sectors into a whole bunch of new opportunities.
Just to talk about a little bit of markets, we are seeing a bit of a momentum on the upside now. The earnings have been surprisingly good. In fact, a lot of the large brokerages are upping the Sensex target, or they're turning over to India. What's the general sense? Are we in a good spot now for the rest of the year?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think we've been in as good a spot as we are today over the last many years. I think the Q4 earnings were fantastic. They were probably the first sign of an improvement, that things are going to get better. Corporate India has solid margin levers, and with a normal monsoon and the 7th pay commission coming in, I think you're going to see a demand revival and revenue growth for the next couple of quarters, and I think that will be the start of a very strong earnings recovery for corporate India.
So how are you playing the next 6 to 8 quarters? What are the sectors that you think investors should look at playing now?
I think clearly, unequivocally, I think consumer continues to be the strongest place. That's the place where you see a lot of variety. You have a lot to pick and choose from.
But there is a valuation concern as well, right, for many of the stocks?
Yep. So I think if you look at just the consumer staples, there could be valuation challenges. There could be some bit of growth headwinds as competitive intensity picks up. But I think if you kind of expand the vision beyond the traditional consumer staples and look at sectors like healthcare, health insurance, I think then there is a huge opportunity, because I think these are opportunities which can grow at double digit for the foreseeable future.
Sure. You've been very bullish on technology, and especially the mid-cap technology stocks. Outside technology, anything that stands out now post the Q4 earnings, which you think investors should look at now?
I think this whole the banking and the financial services space itself is undergoing a huge metamorphosis. It's no longer about the traditional PSU banks or the traditional private sector banks. I think that space is going to get very, very interesting. You have a couple of new full-fledged universal banks. You have dozens of payment banks, small finance banks coming up, and they're going to use technology in a very strong way to reach out to the consumers, the unbanked segment, the underbanked segment. And I think that's a huge scalable opportunity for the next many years.
In fact, NBFCs are the talking point today. Most of the NBFC stocks are at a new high today. Is that a space you're bullish on?
I think so. I think in India it's hard to ignore the banking financial services, the non-banking financial space, the microfinance space. I think there's a huge variety out there, and it's tough to ignore that. I think there's a very compelling proposition there.
Nilesh, I won't stop you because I know you want to go and attend and listen to the other investors. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you, Nimesh. Thank you.